Hi, I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Glock 17 V Series. Now, they just came out with these. We got a couple into the store. This has been kind of a hot story in the gun industry for the last few weeks because it came out that Glock was going to be discontinuing all of their models, aside from 2 or 3 that were the smaller California compliant ones like the Glock 43X. And releasing a brand new line of pistols. Everyone was speculating about what they would be, what they wouldn't be. The only guarantee that we had is that you would not be able to drop in Glock switches, if you will, to make them shoot really fast. But as with pretty much every generation of Glock up until now, they announced that it's going to be coming, and there was just speculation for weeks, months, however long about, oh, this could be different, this could be different, it could be an entirely new gun. Glock holds this patent, maybe they're going to apply that to the new series of Glocks. And we all get really, really, really excited, and then the pistol comes out, and it's the exact same thing. There's like 2 minor tweaks, and the same is true for the V Series. So what we have here is a 17V Gen 5 equivalent. Basically. You can tell that it's a V Series because it has a really big V on the slide and on the frame. In practical use, this is a Glock 17 Gen 5. For the end user who just buys this to be a Glock 9mm service pistol, you will not be able to tell any practical difference. It comes with the exact same box, all the same stuff in it. You've got 3 mags, the back straps, the loader, the lock, the manual, all the stuff that you've gotten before. There's nothing different there. The pistols that we did get 2 into the store, this one and another. It felt like a lighter trigger. Not like a Glock performance trigger per se that you were able to buy and put into the Gen 5. It just feels like a Glock with a minus connector in it. If you've been around Glocks long enough, you've probably put a ghost connector in one of them to lighten the trigger up. And it has a very distinct feel. You have the take up of the gun itself, and then there's this little creep. It snaps over the wall. That's very indicative of like a minus connector. Now this is a factory pistol, 100%, so that was just a bit odd. It still has the same kind of vibe as a Gen 5 trigger, but should be noted. We have a sample size of 2 and they both felt like that. Now let's talk about the differences, because again, the silhouette of the pistol, the practical use of the pistol, everything's exactly the same. There are a few distinct differences between the V Series and a Gen 5. So we'll start at the bottom, the frame itself. There's a little bit of modification to like the trigger housing, okay, and the hole that housing fits into. It is slightly different to make it not compatible with Gen 5 drop-in parts. There's barely any difference. In fact, it's still a cruciform trigger bar. If you take the pistol apart and look at it, you still have that very distinct Glock trigger bar. It looks like it's at a slightly different angle on the ejection side portion of the trigger bar that actually runs along the side of the frame. Barely noticeable, the difference of angle. The engagement to the firing pin is slightly different because there is a different firing pin. It's a slightly different head of the firing pin, as well as the channel and the liner for that channel are different, basically just to ensure that Gen 5 parts will not fit in. The back plate as well is a little bit different. You see the portion on the rear of it is a bit narrower than on a factory Gen 5, whereas a Gen 5 is basically 2 square cutouts. This you can see has a bit of a step to it and has a narrower portion in the middle. The firing pin assembly, if you even look at the firing pin sleeve, has a different shape on the back that coincides with the shape cut into the back plate. As well as on the inside of the slide, there is kind of a new ledge, whereas before on the Gen 4s, 5s, 3s as well, either side of the channel for the firing pin was completely flush with the rest of the slide. This has a step up that kind of angles backwards to prevent the tripping of any kind of mechanism and installing again of Gen 5 compatible parts. So there are a few things that means. Glock did not change everything about this pistol. That's what we were kind of worried about when this, let's call it a confirmed rumor, started, was that Glock was going to do away with the cruciform trigger bar assembly, basically the guts of this gun. The guts that earned it decades of reliable reputation as law enforcement service pistol, the service pistol for certain sections of the military. Basically just the gun when you're talking about reliability, Glock was going to enter into that conversation. And if they had to do away with that trigger mechanism to, bend the knee to one particular state's laws, was the gun still going to fall into that category? Because if we change the heart of the mechanism of the pistol, we're not really dealing with the same reliability. We can't really attribute the same reputation if the gun is different. The good news is it's really not. They did keep, as with the True Glock form factor, they did basically keep everything the same when they came out with this new gun. All they did was ensure that you cannot easily install Gen 5 trigger parts into this gun. Any kind of sear mechanism, conversion kit, if you will, without heavily modifying the gun. I really think Glock just did this to prevent people from suing them so much about all of the different parts you could put in these guns very easily. You could buy off Temu or wherever you would get them and have them shipped overseas. They wouldn't even be checked by customs, and you could just plug it into your Glock and you'd have a gun that shoots really, really fast with a single trigger pull.
Felony, by the way.
It's a felony, by the way. Yes, that's a very good point. Don't do that. You can't drop that into a V Series. You can't. You have to modify the gun, which essentially, to distill down some legal jargon, would attribute more intent to the person that did it, right? And takes all of the culpability off of Glock. They do not make a gun that can be easily converted with readily available parts. You have to have some know-how, some tools, and machine the gun to make those parts work. And that puts the intent, the culpability on the person that does the modification, not necessarily Glock. So that's all they did. They made it really, really hard for anyone to convert one of their pistols. Other than that, the heart of it is the same. There's not practically any difference. It takes the same magazines. There are certain parts that are interchangeable. For example, the pins, the takedown lever, the trigger shoe. There's the sights, obviously. There's a lot of parts that you can interchange. The recoil assembly and the barrel, those are exactly the same. The only changes are just little tweaks back to the striker assembly and the trigger mechanism. Little tweaks. There is practically no difference. You take it apart the same, clean it the same, service it the same, reassemble it the same. There's just little pieces, little things sticking out where they weren't before, things that are slightly different shaped so that you would have to modify the gun to convert it. There is functionally no difference with the pistol. There is little things sticking out, little extra pieces of metal or polymer that would prevent you from easily converting it. That is the only thing that is really different. Practically, again, the pistol is the same. Shoots the same, works the same. The trigger feels a little different, but not different enough to really be noteworthy. I'm just somebody that dry fires guns too much, so I noticed that, and I've modified way too many Glocks. Now, for those of us who have been Glock guys for a long time, who like to buy aftermarket parts that do not convert the pistol, but perhaps increase the performance, you do have a lot of parts compatibility aside from the trigger mechanism. So, aftermarket barrels, milling packages, mag wells, mag releases, all that stuff, takedown levers, all of that will still work. As long as it does not have to do with the trigger mechanism, you can still put those parts in Gen 5 compatible. The same sights, it has the same amount of space on the slide in reference to the top of the slide and the start of the firing pin channel. So you can mill the slide the same for optics cuts. You can still do lightning cuts and top serrations and whatever you want, have it Cerakoted. But trigger parts, we don't know if they will be compatible. I'm going to say probably not. Connectors, different trigger bars, I would not say reliably that you could install those on a V Series. Anything that does not have to do with the trigger mechanism, we should be good, because there are really no other changes to the geometry of the pistol and all those other parts. It's just the trigger mechanism. So no minus connectors, no aftermarket triggers and bars. I believe the shoe is the same. So if you had a Johnny Glock trigger shoe that you wanted to use, you could still do that, but not the shoe and bar. It is a different trigger bar for the V Series. And for those of you guys that just can't help yourself and you have to get a back plate that says, God, family, country, or has the Punisher skull on it or whatever other crazy thing you want to do, those are not going to work at all. Other than that, it's the same old Glock. There's not that many changes. They were just doing some CYA legally. It's not a brand new, 100% different pistol, and the reputation for reliability should be exactly the same now as it was before. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. In addition, we are on pretty much every social media platform at OE Outfitters. So go over there, check it out. If you like what you see, please drop us a follow. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.